Hello everyone, myself Vaibhav. In today's session, we are seeing that the risk of undertone is putting the pressure on the equity markets. For the European trading session, the major equity indices have traded more than 3 percentage point lower. And as the US session has got underway, we saw gap down opening of more than 1 percentage point happening in the all three key equity indices for the US. Today's market moves are also likely to be dominated by the results of major companies, but that aside, the broader sentiments are on the bearish side, and the major factor behind this bearish undertone is the rising cases of the coronavirus infections, and because of that, the economic activities revival is likely to take the hit, and that is being reflected in the equity indices performance. On the data docket, in the earlier hours of today's trading session, we got these CPI numbers for the third quarter of 2020, and for the Australia now the inflation rate stands at 0.7%, which is quite a good improvement if we look at the prior quarter's reading where it stood at 0.3%. And in terms of quarter on quarter, the reading is even better at 1.6%, and is sharp reversal from the prior number of minus 1.9%. And I think these numbers can be attributed to the fact that Australia was one of the country where the COVID pandemic was handled better, or the outbreak was limited to some of the areas, and as a result of that, the Australia was able to get back to its economic activities lot better than most of the major countries. But now we will have to see if this trend will hold true in the fourth quarter as well. During the European trading hours, we didn't really get any major release. So moving on to the North American trading session, we also got the advanced goods trade balance data, and there we saw the reduction in the goods trade deficit, and now the reading is lower than the 80 USD 80 billion. And there onwards, we also got this Bank of Canada's interest rate decision. And as expected, the Bank of Canada has decided to leave the interest rate unchanged at 0.25%. And if we look at its commentary on the state of affairs of the economy of Canada, we can see that the Bank of Canada is going to continue its accommodative stance on the monetary front till the inflation shoots up beyond the 2 percentage point. At the same time, it has also talked about gradually reducing the asset purchase program to USD 4 billions a week. So we might see some signaling or some clarity in upcoming incoming meetings. So we will have to wait for the details on that front. And just in a while, we are also scheduled to get the EIS WTI crude oil inventory data. And this week, we are likely to see the impact of these rising coronavirus cases, putting the brakes on the recent trend of drawdowns. And instead, for this week, we can see, or we can expect the crude oil inventory to rise, and the expectations are of around the rise of 1.2 million barrels, and that is simply because the rising coronavirus infections are testing the people's willingness to go out, and that is going to adversely affect the economic activity and the people's use of the vehicles, and that is going to pull the demand for the crude oil down, and as a result of that, the crude oil inventories are expected to rise. Now let's shift our attention to the technical aspects of Euro USD, and then we will see the NZD USD as well. Let's start with the Euro USD's technical outlook. This is the daily time frame chart, and yesterday only we were talking about how well the Euro USD was able to hold above 1.18. But a session later, the things have changed drastically. And for today's session, not only we saw the break below the important level of 1.18, but the Euro USD has declined almost closer to the 1.17 level, and this is likely to change its near-term outlook. And now I'm no longer expecting the Euro USD to get closer to the 1.19 and eventually towards 1.2 in the medium term. Rather than that, I am expecting the Euro USD to consolidate, and for next couple of sessions, we can expect the tendency, or you can say the bias, to be on the bearish side. So we will go into the details of these changing dynamics for the Euro USD on the lower time frame chart to see if there are any emerging opportunities for us, or to figure out the possible levels on which we can think about going in for the fresh trade if we are going to get the optimum risk reward ratios. So here, looking at this 4 hourly chart, we have the central pivot point around the 1.178, and now we have this clear cut break below that. So in the short to medium term, we can expect the Euro USD to remain below this, and we can expect this central pivot point to act as the major resistance zone for the Euro USD for next couple of sessions. So from that point of view, we can indeed look for the short sale trade opportunities as long as the Euro USD is holding below this central pivot point. And I think if we consider the regression curve, which is still bent on the upside, gradually, if the price action stays in the lower band, and as you can see here, it is even dropping below this lower band of this regression curve. So it is going to put pressure on this upward curve, and eventually, in due course of time, we are likely to see the Euro USD curve flattening to some extent, and then if the opportune moment arises, we can even think about going in for the fresh short sell trade in the Euro USD. And as I said, this central pivot point is going to be the critical marker for us while determining whether to go short or whether to sit on the sidelines. So if we want the fresh trading opportunity, I think we will have to keep a watch on this confluence zone of 50, 100 and 200 SMAs, which has converged closer to this 1.1 price level. And we also have these prior swing lows where the consolidation had happened, and we had seen the Euro USD holding well and trying to hold well above that. But then we got this break here in yesterday's North American trading session, and now those sentiments have pushed the Euro USD further down the line. And in today's session, we saw the low being made even below 1.172. So that is going to turn around the trajectory of the Euro USD from bullish to now bearish. And here, as I said, we also have the central pivot point. So taken together, we have multiple factors which are expected to act as the near-term resistance for the Euro USD, and the key resistance is going to be around this 1.178 to 1.18 region, where we have these multiple factors which can be utilized as the critical decisive markers where we decide whether to go short, or if we see if say surprisingly enough, as we only saw this break yesterday, if we see the break on the upper side, though I am not really expecting that to happen, but in the market you never know. So suppose if there is a break above these key resistance zone, then maybe we can decide to change our trajectory. But as of now, the bearish undertone is clearly visible, and as I said, it will be prudent for us to play on the side of the trend. And as is always the case, trend is your friend, and here also I would say that look for any trading opportunity closer to this critical zone, the resistance zone. And if you are fortunate enough, and if you see the some correction happening in the euro USD, which you can take it closer to the resistance zone, and if you get the fresh opportunity to go for the trade on the short sale side, you should go for it anywhere near the price band of 1.178 to 1.180, and on the upper side the stop loss can be kept just little above the immediate swing high. So that should be the stop loss of our choice, as anything above it will again show that the buying momentum is back, and it will be better for us to cut down on our losses and exit from our short sale trading positioning. Now NZDUSD's technical turn. The NZDUSD has been one of the strongest currency against the USD, and for last couple of session it was rising substantially. And one of the reason is that the New Zealand New Zealand's economy has been doing very well, and the people there, or the government there, or both of them together, have been able to contain these coronavirus infections. And as a result of that, the economy hasn't suffered to that extent, and it is one of the model country which has done well to contain this outbreak. And because of that, the NZD has also gained a lot in valuations against the USD and even other major currency peers. But in today's session, we are seeing that the bears are not really sparing the NZD either, and the selling pressure is on the NZD as well. But instead of showing the clear turnaround in the sentiments, we are still hoping for the correction here. We are not really looking at the longer term trend change. Of course, anything can happen, but for today's session, the outlook is for the short term intraday perspective only, and we are looking at the possibility of this dip from 0.67 to 0.6650 to extend on the lower side, and eventually the break below the central pivot point is also expected, and the near term target can be considered closer to this immediate swing low, which is there around 0.6560. So here, if you consider the technical factors like the central pivot point and the regression curve, both of these are pointing to the bullish trajectory, which has been the case for last couple of sessions. But as I said, there is a selling pressure, and the fall in the valuation of almost 1 percentage point is now putting the question mark on this bullish undertone, and as a result of that, we might need to change our tactics here, and we can indeed look for the short sale opportunities, though the target won't really be that long, that big. Instead, we will be looking for the scalping kind of opportunities, and as is the case, we mostly look for the stop loss to target level of at least 1 is to 2, and we will see if such an opportunity is likely to arise in the NZD also, and if it does, what are the levels we should be keeping an eye on. So coming to the lower time frame chart, here we had this consolidation happening just little above the 0.6670 level, and now we have the clear cut break below those levels. So here we can expect this prior swing lows to act as the near term resistance zone, and on the higher side we also have these 50 and 100 SMAs converging towards 0.6680. So taken together, we also have the strong resistance for the NZD/USD on the lower side, and if you consider its current valuation where it is trading closer to the 200 SMA, I think the desired price which we are trying to get for the fresh entry in the NZD/USD is not that far away, and that is going to be one of the advantage while trading in the NZD/USD in terms of the stop loss and the target pricing, we can strive to keep the stop loss sharp and then try to target the profit in such a manner that we will be getting the risk reward ratio at least the 1 is to 2. So for today's session I would say that uh, keep an eye on how the price action unfolds in the later hours of today's trading session, and if we see some sort of retracement, and if the price indeed converges towards its immediate resistance, the price zone anywhere in the price band of 0.6670 to 0.6680, as long as it is trading well below this 100 SMA zone, we can be fairly confident of going in for the fresh trade while keeping the stop loss just closer to this immediate swing high, which is there around 0.66 0.6720. So we will have to take the stop loss of around 40 to 50 pips, and then as I said, we are looking at the fresh turn of event here, the reversal in the trajectory, reversal in the sentiments of the NZDUSD from bullish to bearish, and so as a result of that we will be able to go for the possible target price around 0.66, so that will give us the risk reward ratio of 1 is to 2 as well, not exactly but closer to that, and we will be looking at the continuation of this bearish undertone if the price sustains below these 200 SMA, and then in that case we might even see the NZD USD falling deeper on the lower side, even below the 0.66 level in coming sessions. So that's it from my side for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be very happy to go through the feedback and engage on the financial markets. Thank you. Before I sign off, I would also like to remind of the risk associated with trading in the financial instrument, and one should be careful while using the information provided. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for the further development in the market. Have a fabulous day ahead. Goodbye.